So this is a review of the Playmates Star Trek Generations action figures, at least some of them. And these are old. They're from the 90s. When this was purchased at Walmart back in the day, it was $4.94. But I want to stress that these aren't really worth anything. I think a lot of people had saved these thinking maybe the price would go up, but Playmates figures don't really go up in value. And as a matter of fact, action figures in general are kind of going down in value across the board, especially since Star Wars released the retro collection. It kind of reduced the value of old figures. So I'm planning on opening these because the boxes aren't particularly well made, and they're not gonna, the figures aren't gonna be preserved to any great degree. So there is little cards you can clip off of the packaging for each character, and I also have this one, but it's not really a Generations action figure. It's a loose figure that was part of a 3-pack. And this is from an episode when Q gave Picard back a chance to redo his young adulthood. Therefore, he's wearing this old Starfleet red tunic uniform with an ensign rank on it. So in that episode, he was with his friends in the academy. And to them, he looked like a young man. But to only to him and Q could they see that it was like Patrick Stewart level Picard. A decent face sculpt. Playmates figures were not, considered the best or anything, but I think I wanted to review it with this set because he's wearing the red tunic uniform and just sort of compare. And he comes with a lot of accessories. Like he has like the typical Playmates accessories, they're kind of crap, but there's a 3-dimensional chess set that somehow I'd like to figure out how to bend correctly so it won't look like it's all lopsided. I think this is a pull stick or a stick for a game that he played in this episode, and this is like his Starfleet tote bag or overnight bag, and then he has a stand like all the Playmates figures have. So still, nonetheless, Playmates are kind of chunky, but they were kind of fun figures. I still kind of like this set. You can put all the items in his hands. I think there's a way to, do this. And you can have him carrying his chess set like he's on the chess team or something. So that's the Picard in his red old style Starfleet tunic. I'm going to set it aside. Let's see. I think next I'll open just one of the crew. Oh, there was one more piece here. What is this supposed to be? I'm not sure, but I'll set it with him for now. I hope it's not a broken piece of something. Okay. Playmates were famous for all of these nutty accessories. I mean, look at the Klingon accessories. But I want to open... See, this is... interestingly, if you collected Star Trek Playmates action figures, and if you wanted to get the movie characters, at least how the bridge crew was in the movies, you had to do it like this. You could get Kirk, Well, you could get Scotty and Chekov in these uniforms, and you could still get Kirk. But you could only get the other crew in the motion picture uniforms, the pastel ones. So to assemble your crew, you would need, you're going to have a mixture of these old style and new style uniforms. So it says here, Star Trek Generations gear. He'll get an action base, a classic tricorder, a multi-function portable sensing device used for scientific and technical applications, a classic phaser, a focused energy weapon with multiple defensive settings including stun, heat, and disruption, and a classic communicator, Starfleet standard issue communications device used for transmission links from planet surface to orbiting spaceships. So, and this is a brief little biography of Captain Kirk as it relates to this movie, Generations. So, it's already somewhat opened because this packaging is old. So I'm going to pull out all the accessories. Okay, set this aside. Okay, so he has the stand. The sticker is coming off. I was never really happy with these stickers on these stands because it looks sort of like an embossing gun had done this. And the tape has left some residue on it. And he has his classic phaser that's actually fairly detailed. His Starfleet communicator. And he has a blue tricorder that is obviously pulled from another figure. And here's Kirk himself. The hair doesn't really look like William Shatner from the movie, but they did try to age him a little bit. He's wearing the captain's rank and the longevity bars. The figure itself is similar to the Picard figure as far as the articulation, which is just basic 5. Not even... There is a little bit of a hip turn, but it doesn't turn very much because it's like his feet as well. The tunic makes it where you can't really move him very much. So he's kind of a... you can't do a lot of posing with him. But you can... he doesn't even hold the phaser very well either. You can put the phaser in that hand and his communicator in this hand, and you can... Kirk rarely carried a tricorder, but you can put it on him, and you can put him on the stand. Interesting how they put the serial number on his foot there with a weird sticker. And you can give him this communicator. And now you have, well, it doesn't really want to hold that. But now you kind of have a Kirk that could be used for any of the movies after Star Trek 4. When he was demoted to captain. So we'll set this one aside. Next, I'll open one of these Klingon. This is one of the Duras sisters, Betor. And she comes with a ceremonial war club, a Klingon disruptor, a Klingon knife, Klingon combat sword, and action base. And I don't know if any of these things were ever seen in the movie. Oh, I almost forgot there was sorry, there was some kind of paperwork inside of the figure. Let me pull it out and see what it is. This was in the Kirk figure. This is Star Trek Deep Space Nine Design and Alien Contest. Grand prize, win a TV appearance on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. First prize, $500. Second prize is an action figure collection, which you could pick up now pretty cheap because these things didn't really gain value. But this is a neat little relic. You can draw your alien right here and send it to them. I kind of miss things like this, you know, little good-natured little contests and games. And it also comes with a little mini poster, which is just kind of nice. In the movie Star Trek Generations, so that's nice. So going back, this is Betor, and it shows the description of her gear. A ceremonial war club. Klingon weaponry is a peculiar mix of traditional and high-tech armaments. The war club serves a Klingon warrior for ceremonious occasions. A Klingon disruptor, an energy-directed weapon with several settings, some lethal. A Klingon knife, also called a daktag. This three-bladed handheld weapon features an arrow-type point and spiky ornate hilt. And a Klingon combat sword used for hand-to-hand encounters with Klingon enemies. And then there's a card that it says she's the youngest daughter of the politically influential House of Duras. Betor and her elder sister Lursa have been linked to numerous anti-Federation and anti-Klingon activities. Most notable was an attempt to overthrow the Galron leadership and impose the tyrannical leadership of Duras' illegitimate son Toril in the Klingon High Council. So, the little background of her. Once again, she comes with probably the exact same poster. And her stand with the little sticker. And as typical of Playmates, all of her accessories are molded in one silly color. In this case, like pink. So it just looks kind of silly when she holds it all. But either way, let's look at the figure. The face is pretty good. It looks like her in the movie. The provocative outfits her and her sister wore. You can move her. She has basic 5 articulation and as well as a waist joint. She's wearing a dress. Well, she doesn't have basic 5 because her legs don't have any movement except you can twist them a little bit because she's wearing this dress. And her head can't move very much because of her hair. So you can choose which accessories you want to give to her. Like, for example, you might want to let her hold the disruptor pistol, the pink disruptor, and maybe you could give her this the ceremonial sword and put her on the stand. And she stands up really nicely. And I'm going to set her over here, and let's go ahead and open up Chekov. This is another figure, if you want a movie version of, you can only get in this uniform. The red tunic. And same packaging, just the only difference being his name here. And it talks about the same descriptions of the gear. It says, Chekov first served as an ensign-ranked navigator aboard the Starship Enterprise, captained by James T. Kirk. A dedicated crew member, Chekov often volunteered for away team missions. At the conclusion of his first 5-year mission, Chekov was promoted to lieutenant. He continued to serve as the chief of security. He reassigned to the USS Reliant. Lieutenant Chekov served as science officer under Captain Clark Terrell. In 2285, the USS Reliant was on a survey mission, and they talk about where he met Khan, and so it has this whole history. Once again, the pack with the poster and the Draw an Alien contest. And his stand. Okay, so I would say that this is the exact same body as Kirk, with the exception of his rank is Lieutenant Commander, or Commander, I think, maybe. The face sculpt is pretty good. It looks like Walter Koenig. And I think they've also, the shade of his uniform and his undershirt is a gray, which I think is for security. Whereas Kirk and Spock had white, Scotty had yellow, McCoy had green. The basic 5 articulation. The legs, pretty constrained movement. Can go backwards, but not really forwards. You can put the tricorder on him. You can put the, in this time, let's put the communicator in this hand. Well, I don't think it's going to fit. These chunky Playmates action figures had this problem where their accessories often didn't even fit in their hands. So, you can, very much like Kirk, put the communicator in this hand, and if it will even stay for a second, and the phaser in this hand, and I don't think anything wants to stay. I'm going to very carefully set him down, and all of the stuff just fell off, which is fine. Okay. This is Lursa, the older sister. I think the actress who played Lursa just passed away not that long ago, which is sad. Like Bator, she's also wearing this sort of provocative outfit. And she has a ceremonial Klingon sword. She has a batlet, which is something seen on Star Trek shows a lot. An isolinear chip, a highly sophisticated data storage and processing device composed of linear memory crystals. So she has a little bit of extra stuff. The figure itself looks a lot like her. The head is a little wobbly. It's Playmates. Her arms are very similar to Bator's. Almost, I think maybe even almost the same. Well, I take that back. It does look like a different mold. Like her sister, she has very little movement because of her dress. But they did a pretty good job on the face sculpt, and that's one of the reasons I like these figures. Is now her accessories are molded in burnt orange. And let's go through these accessories. The batlet, it's just kind of silly how this is orange. But it's obviously supposed to be a metal weapon with little leather handles. But that's Playmates for you. Another Klingon disruptor generally looks like the prop from the show, but it's burnt orange. The isolinear chip is a piece of plastic that's just sort of molded like this. And she has this sword. And her stand, so you don't forget her name. I think I'll if she can hold that disruptor in this hand, and then I'll give her the batlet because I just feel like very Klingon kind of weapon, and put her on her stand. And then so that's her and her sister in their provocative Klingon uniforms. They were one of the bad guys in the movie Star Trek Generations, but they were easily defeated, although they did cause the Enterprise to crash. And but the real bad guy was Dr. Soren, who was played by Malcolm McDowell. So the last figure I have here is Scotty. And he comes with the exact same gear. It has a little card about him to clip and collect if you want. I'm going to save him from this old packaging so he can actually be displayed. And okay, so the only difference right off with Scotty is he is definitely a different body than Chekov or Kirk. They gave him the Jimmy Doohan put on a little weight body. I do like how they made his hair. It's simple, but a cool look with the white and the gray. And it does look like James Doohan. He's captain, because Scotty was a captain at this point. And beloved engineer of the Enterprise. And a pretty good action figure. So the only one of the few Scotty action figures that you can get. You could get a classic TV show one. You can get one where he was of a Scotty that was in an Next Generation episode where he's wearing like a vest. And this one, and I think, well, there might actually be even another one. But as far as the movies, this is the only movie Scotty you can get. And it looks pretty good. So you can have a little away team here with Ensign Picard. Put Scotty here. Maybe he'll hold a phaser. I don't know. They're not doing too good with these phasers. Oh, he actually holds a phaser. And it looks pretty good. Let's see if he'll hold his communicator. None of them really want to hold the communicator very well. You just have to kind of hope it'll stay in their hand. But yeah, you can have a little away team, and it looks pretty good in their uniforms. Now, if you collect action figures, you might know that Mego came out with a new line of Wrath of Khan figures that are in these uniforms. And they're in the old retro cloth style. So, if you want to get a Kirk and a Spock in this type of uniform along with a Khan in the retro cloth uniform, slightly bigger figures, that might be the way you want to go. If you like these figures, they're easy to get and they're generally cheap. My suggestion is go on eBay and look for them, and look to buy them in a lot. And when you get them in a lot, someone's selling them all at once versus buying them individually. Usually you'll save money on shipping, and when you figure the price of a lot, these things can come out to $2 or $3 a figure, which is a pretty good price for the vintage figure pushing about 30 years old that still holds up pretty well. And if you're a Star Trek fan, a great collectible to have, something that you could put on your shelf or whatever, and enjoy. So they're not bad little figures. And I'll have another video in the future of the motion picture Star Trek figures from Playmates as well, and show that it is, one of your ways to get a whole bridge crew. Like, for example, Funko had made a line of Star Trek figures, and we were all kind of excited. 3 3/4 scale figures, and they're the Funko Reaction brand. But the problem is they never made Chekov, so you couldn't get a whole bridge crew. And about the only other route you'd have is Legos or the Constructablocks or whatever that got the Star Trek license. So there's very few ways to get a good solid bridge crew without paying an arm and a leg for one of the more expensive sideshow collectibles or whatever. But if you want a very economical way to get a collection of Star Trek bridge officers, Playmates is your way. That's the route to take. If you don't mind, they're a little bit chunky. They may not have the best sculpting. They may not have the best packaging, but I recommend opening them because the packages are so big and bulky. And just pull them out and display them because they look pretty good, because look at all the details. I mean, the details are there. They're not perfect, but this is clearly James Doohan. This is clearly William Shatner. This is clearly Patrick Stewart. And clearly Walter Koenig, and the Duras sisters look like them. I mean, and they're not bad little figures. Not the best, but that's why they don't cost very much. You can still get these easily on eBay. People have, I mean, there's just an infinite supply of these on eBay or thrift stores. I see them all over the place. Grab yourself your set. Pick your favorite characters. And another thing that I wanted to say about the Playmates Star Trek line is they had a lot of characters. A lot of specific characters, if you're a fan of the show, that, if you could get Mud or the Squire Trelane or Q or Vina as the Orion dancer, Kirk in the environmental suit. I mean, so many fun characters from the show to bring back those memories. Or just get your favorite character. Get a little set that you like. If you just want to collect for the joy of collecting for a show you like, then this is the way to go. And on that, I will end this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, bye.